Okay, so we have one more thing. You will recall we had quite a discussion on Canada Post and the union being out. And as I told you last night, I was sitting here the other day and I got thinking about this whole thing and I did a little bit of research. And what do I hear the union talking about today? They're talking about Purolator, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now they remain out on the picket lines, and that strike started when the Carney government announced it was, ending door-to-door mail delivery in favor of community mailboxes, and as well a number of other service changes to try and right the service, which is sinking under a growing debt, like huge amounts of money. The answer, I would submit, may be under everyone's nose. Let me explain, and let's bring up the graphic on this one. Okay, Canada Post. Canada Post owns 91% of Purolator Courier. 91%. Rainmaker Investments holds 8%, and others hold the 2% balance. Now, think about this. Purolator recorded a pre-tax profit of $294 million last year, 2024. And that's compared to before-tax profit of $293 million in 2023. Meantime, the company that owns it is sinking under red ink. Canada Post reported a pre-tax loss of $841 million last year.
Wow.
$841 million last year. Purolator, I would suggest, are you ready for this? Purolator could be structured to provide service in rural areas, because this seems to be a big thing with the changes in mail service. Well, it's a public service, and what about people who live in rural areas? And the post office is kind of like their centerpiece, and it's where they pick up their parcels and everything. Who's going to deliver it? Well, you know what? Canada Post has proven it can't do it. They don't seem to have the ability to come up with a plan, regardless of whatever they're paying their management, their upper management. They don't seem to be able to come up with a plan. So I would suggest it's time to clean house at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Clean it out. Go to Purolator, which you own 91% of, and say, all right, we're going to make some changes here. You are good at running a distribution delivery system. You are now going to be mandated to take over the operation of rural post offices. And that may mean some rural post offices will close, and will mean that some people may have to drive a little bit farther to pick up their mail or their parcels at those post offices. But that's the way it is. Like, you drive, look how far people drive to get to the airport. Look how far people drive from one side of the city to the other to get to a doctor's appointment or whatever. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Right, or even a hybrid model, Gary. I mean, in these remote places, Canada Post has got offices, and obviously they have staff there. One of the things that Purolator can look at is a hybrid model where they run the business, they run the service, absorb some of these Canada Post outposts and offices out there, especially in these small rural towns, and let Purolator run it. I mean, obviously they know something.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, a hybrid model. I mean, they don't have to necessarily close down the local post office in some of the smaller towns. Keep it open, but just have a different delivery model for it. Whether it's maybe they're going to have a hybrid model where you clearly identify people that can't make it out of their homes for whatever reason. Well, then you have supplemental services for them only, not the entire community. Yeah, you got to think out of the box here, because obviously, based on the numbers you just presented, whoever's running Canada Post doesn't know how to run Canada Post. I mean, whether it's a government entity or not, it's just poor operational and poor business management. So, like you were saying, why not go to the experts?
Yep. And
Right?
and you know, like, but I'm saying there are still probably some post offices, even under the Canada Post review, which, you know, the clock is ticking because they were given 45 days to come up with a plan.
Right.
Some of those rural post offices are going to close because people have left those areas and either gone to a slightly larger rural area or moved to the city or moved elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't keep everything open because the cost is too great. So we move in that direction. And the other thing, you want to think outside the box, and you mentioned about people who maybe can't get out on their own and they don't have neighbors who are willing to help. Or let's not forget that Amazon and maybe even Walmart, I can't remember for sure, but Amazon has been testing using drones to deliver parcels in the US.
True. Mm-hmm.
So if you identify some people who are housebound and they don't have a lot of support to, people who can run to the post office and pick up their mail, pick up their parcels, then what's to say why can't we use drones to deliver them?
Yeah.
The private sector starting to do that. You've got, I think it's Domino's Pizza and some of the others running around now with little robots running up and down, rolling up and down the street, delivering pizzas and things. We're in the 21st century, and the technology is evolving at a very quick pace, and we have to take advantage of it, and we have to try. We have to try, especially if you want any kind of a mail service at all, which I personally don't care. I don't use it. But for the people who do, if you want it, first of all, you're going to have to be prepared to pay more for it. And secondly, you're going to have to be prepared to think outside of the box. And if that means that all of a sudden you see a little drone dropping down and it drops off a box or a pouch with your letters or your cards or whatever in it, you have to go to the door to get it. That's the way it is, because it's far cheaper to do it that way than it is to have people involved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either that or you're going to find yourself at some point without any mail service whatsoever. So what is it?